John was a loving father who adored his 8-year-old daughter, Sarah. Sarah was a cheerful girl who loved going to school and playing with her friends. John and his wife, Samantha, had worked hard to create a safe and nurturing environment for Sarah to grow up in. They lived in a small, quiet town where everyone knew each other, and the community was tightly knit. John had a stable job as an accountant, while Samantha worked part-time as a nurse. John and Samantha had always been attentive parents, making sure to provide Sarah with all the love and support she needed to thrive. They took her to her favorite park every weekend, read bedtime stories together, and made sure to attend all her school events. They were proud of the little girl she was becoming. However, John had noticed a change in Sarah's behavior over the past few weeks. She had started coming home from school in tears every day, and he couldn't figure out what was causing it. He tried asking her, but Sarah would only shake her head and say that she was fine. John and Samantha became increasingly worried, and they knew they had to do something to help their daughter. John decided to take matters into his own hands and bought a recording device to place in Sarah's hair. He hoped that the device would capture any conversations that were making Sarah upset. It was a risky move, but John was desperate to find out what was causing his daughter so much pain. He carefully placed the device in Sarah's hair the next morning, making sure that it was hidden from view. As he watched Sarah walk out the door, John couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. He didn't know what the recording would reveal, but he was willing to do anything to help his daughter. Little did John know that the recording device would uncover a shocking truth about what was happening to Sarah at school. As usual, Sarah came home from school that day in tears, and John was ready to listen to the recording device he had put in her hair to figure out what was causing her distress. He carefully removed the device and connected it to his computer, feeling a mixture of dread and determination. John put on his headphones and listened carefully to the conversations that had taken place at school. He heard Sarah's voice, quavering and uncertain, as she struggled to answer questions in class. He heard the sound of pencils scratching on paper and the rustle of papers being passed out. And then he heard something that made his blood boil. Sarah's teacher, Miss Johnson, was shouting at her in front of the entire class, belittling her and making her feel small. John could hear the anger and frustration in her voice, and he felt a surge of protectiveness for his daughter. How could someone in a position of authority treat a child this way? John listened to more of the recordings and heard the same kind of behavior from Miss Johnson, berating and belittling Sarah in class. He knew he had to do something to protect his daughter from this abusive situation. The next day, John went to the school to meet with the principal and play the recordings for her. He demanded that something be done to stop the abuse and make sure it didn't happen again. The principal was shocked by what she heard and promised to investigate the situation thoroughly. After the school took action, John sat down with Sarah to talk to her about what had been happening. He was careful not to reveal that he had been recording her conversations, but he wanted to make sure she knew that he was there for her and that she could always come to him for help. John asked Sarah how she was feeling and let her know that he was proud of her for speaking up and telling him about what was happening at school. He reassured her that he had taken steps to make sure it wouldn't happen again, and that he would always be there to support her no matter what. Sarah was initially hesitant to open up about what was happening, but with John's support and encouragement, she began to share more about how she had been feeling. They talked about ways to cope with stress and anxiety and strategies for dealing with difficult situations in the future. John felt relieved that he had been able to take action and protect his daughter from harm. But he knew that there was still work to be done to make sure that no child would have to go through what Sarah had experienced. He made a commitment to continue to advocate for better policies and protections for children in schools, and to make sure that his daughter always felt safe and supported.